been doing this now, right? I
know.
Right? Even in depression, I'll just be like, let's go. Ready?
One, two, three.
One, two, three. Welcome to the Art Hustle Gallery of Conversations. Welcome back here, Doc Sunny. Inspiring weekly conversations with your dope chick spiritual journey and the Art Hustle podcast. So welcome again. And today I'm going to turn the tables and let you choose a topic.
Oh, listen, I was spending from the moment you said, oh, it's tables are turned, I was like, oh, how could I turn the tables?
Yeah.
But I think when I think about all of our conversations and how much fun we have in these discussions, I was thinking, what would people want to hear us talk about? What would inspire people, right? Because these are inspiring conversations.
Yep.
I wanted to turn the table on art and the idea that art can heal.
Yes.
And how that has helped both of us in our lives, in our different art forms.
Yes, because I feel like everything is art. Everything is art.
Everything is art. And I also believe that different points in our lives, the art or the medium we chose may have been different.
Yeah.
So art and hustle, as you say, right? It's a way of life. So when you think of healing, wink, wink, wink.
Wink, wink. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
No, I'm not trying to say anything. You're as you sip out of your art and hustle mug. For you, like,
yes.
Not only how has art healed personally, but how have you seen art heal in other people's lives? And what type? And let's even be specific. What type of art? Because people will be curious, right?
Yeah.
But how has it healed for you? And also, how have you seen it heal for other people?
Yeah, I've seen it heal in lots of aspects. And it's funny we're talking about this because I was just watching a podcast yesterday that resonated with me so much. And this woman, I wrote down all of these notes because I was watching it all morning and I was writing down so much of her word where she was getting so excited of like a woman who's going through heartbreak, actually, which was the topic that she was talking about. And she completely coincided that with the grieving of how her mother had died and the grief she felt, because she said, you're grieving a character in your life and you thought that this person was going to be the season finale, but they're not, so their character in your life, they were a character that you thought that was going to be there for a while and they're not. So so that grieving is valid. And she says to like lean into that grieving. And then eventually that pain is like gold, because that pain she'll use later to write a book or write a song. And then that song blows up and it becomes like, the purpose of that pain, technically. And so she's like, everything that you're going through is like serving you for the bigger thing, that we all suffer. It's all good. And you eventually, it's going to come out as something that's going to be beneficial. So I'm looking at the notes that she said, because she said so many good things. I just kept on writing and writing. But it was amazing because she realized, like, she knew, like, if someone's going through a heartbreak, like, they're going to come out after this even better. They're going to be like, it's going to come out even more fire and having an upgrade and having a vibe.
Yeah. And, it's so funny because that's how my book was born. My first book, right? Spiritually Woke, 7 principles for inspiration and awareness. It was born out of, in my career at the time, right? I thought I was one place.
Yeah.
And the loss of and I wouldn't even say the loss movement from a job, because what one person intended as removing me, I truly believe God had another plan anyway. So,
yeah.
But it was out of that, being stuck in a place where I was like, what do I do with my life? Like, what is the plan? Like, how do I figure out what to do with all of this, right? Degrees and experience, but still feeling like, I don't know what to do. And that book was like it was almost like my roadmap out, because everything in the book I did for myself. So it's almost as if the chapters were writing themselves through the course of my life.
So it was like therapy for you as well.
Oh, it was, it was therapeutic. It was inspiring. And it was at times what I needed when I didn't want to get up out of the bed.
Mm.
When I was feeling like I can't figure this out on my own,
Mm-hmm.
this thing would keep playing in my head, like, forget about projecting so far into the future, focus on this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, when we think of art, whether it's music or what you do, or the living, the speaking, the books, the writing,
Yeah.
I think it helps people to come out of the spiral of, oh, what do I do? Oh, this
Yeah.
situation has me here, or I don't know what's going to happen to my life in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like art brings us present.
When I'm doing some art that's purely my emotions and my feelings, I get lost in it. So time just disappears. And that's when you know you're doing something that's of your purpose and
Yep.
coming from your soul is when time just goes away,
Hmm. Oh yeah.
you know?
And the time, I think too, what we spend our time thinking about
Mm-hmm.
um helps us,
Mm-hmm.
because I know when I spend my time obsessing about something, or frustrated about a situation, or something that's completely out of my control,
Mm-hmm.
I get sunken deeper and deeper
Yeah.
into that place.
And then people get paralyzed in that place and then they get stuck to do nothing.
Yep. Yep. So the for me, the writing the book, it was what kept pulling me out
Mm.
of that place. To your
Yeah.
point, even though I was getting lost in the writing of it, I was not perseverating on all of the other things that could have had me lost in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I was sunken in a place in a good way, because it was keeping me connected to, like, there's something bigger. There's something bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, you can focus on what you believe or perceive you've lost, but writing helped me to, there was something bigger. Even my newsletters that I send out every couple of weeks, they're usually born out of something from myself personally, right? That I have
Yeah.
gone through something, that I've had a revelation on something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm so glad I had that information, because I could have completely gone down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so then I write it up and I share it with my followers or the people who come to me for information. And I think that's the beauty of art. So how have you seen art like transform other people's lives?
Yeah, like I have many friends who get into that depression as well, but then when they write their music or they do their videos and stuff, and they become out, because that becomes their voice. Just like when you were writing, that becomes the extension of your voice and feelings and everything. So I've seen it in other people as well, where they don't know what to do with their lives, but they know how to express themselves in their music and their videos and their art, or they can express it and get all of those emotions out. Just like art was a healing for me, because I didn't know how to change my life around me, but I know how to put it into the art.
Yeah.
So someone can look at that art and be like, wow, what was Linda thinking there? Like, wow, what's going through her life that she feels that she has to create that type of art? So
But
you can see it.
oh my gosh, but you know what? Now that you say that, it was so funny. I took my family a few months ago. I took my husband for Father's Day earlier this year. We went to the Basquiat exhibit
Yeah.
in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I had those thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I walked around the gallery,
Mm-hmm.
I found myself wanting to know
Mm.
more
Yes.
about what was he thinking?
What was he going through?
What was he
happening?
going through?
What was happening in his life?
Not
Right?
just in his life, what was happening in his life? What was happening? What was he looking at through his daily lens?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was regards to his mirror, meaning what was happening in his life,
Yeah.
but also what was he seeing and what was being reflected outside of him.
Oh, see, that's beautiful. See, I love that you say that, because that gives me an insight of exactly why and how I would write my art book. Because you would see a piece of artwork and you want to know what they're feeling and thinking and everything. But that's exactly how I would do my art book, because as I do the art, I'm going to tell you why I'm feeling these things and what translates to that. So it will be like a correlation of the art and also why I'm writing it and why I did the art and the colors I'm using and the emotions I feel. So that's actually perfect that you say that. See, this is why our conversations then so inspiring.
You know what it is too, Linda, as you're talking and I'm thinking about it, and I think of a lot of different art forms, emotion doesn't disappear.
No. And feelings, like, so I have people who
Yeah.
tell me that feelings don't mean anything. And so I have somebody who always is just kind of pushing aside, like, oh, you feel that way? Feelings are not facts. So just disregard your feelings and just like, they don't mean anything, kind of. And I just keep looking at them like, no, we need feelings. Like, it's scientific facts that if you don't have feelings about something, you're not going to want to go eat. You're not going to want to go love someone. You're not going to want to go do this. Like, feelings are a trigger for your body as a human to go do something. So you
Oh
need
yeah.
to have feelings. Otherwise, you're going to be a robot,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, what, you want to be a robot? No, you need those feelings. They're all valid.
And feelings, you know, I tell a lot of my clients when I'm doing like mentorship or, you know, spiritual coaching and stuff, like I tell a lot of them, I say your feelings are like the indicator in your car,
Yeah.
right? If you don't have an indicator to tell you you need an oil change,
Yep.
your brakes are failing,
Yeah.
something,
The
a light is out,
signals of your light start
the
flickering.
sig-
It's trying to give you a signal like
it's
it's
trying
not
to,
working. Yeah. Feelings are all
that is what feelings and emotions are. And
yes.
when you said about your book and how making the connection between the pictures and what you were feeling is so powerful, because when we listen to music, right?
Yes. Music's a huge thing. Yep.
When you go to, like how I went to the art gallery and I look at the you feel something.
Yes.
You feel something, and sometimes you don't know what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're clear, maybe it's anger, but you don't, sometimes you don't even understand why. But
Yeah.
when the moment you said about your book,
Mm-hmm.
it's so powerful, because what it'll do is people will be able to look at the artwork, have their own feelings, but then connect it to
Mm-hmm.
what you were feeling, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
your artwork is a direct kinetic, it's energy of
Yeah.
what you were experiencing.
Yeah. Because I always say, like, if there's a piece of artwork that I've done that I've resonated so much with and I put in my like time and soul and energy into it, like those pieces are the ones where I'm sad to let them go because they're like my baby, you know. So
Yeah.
do let them
That's
go.
funny.
You know, when I do let them go, I hope that, you know, it's found a nice home and those people who love it just as much as I do. But I've put so much energy into it and I loved it so much. So when I pass it on and they get that reaction too, it gives me so much joy because they're having those similar feelings and that powerfulness of it, or, you know, the joy it gives them or healing it gives them, because art to me is also healing to me because it has a certain element of, like, you know, tactileness, but like you enter the room of Basquiat and you're just wondering like, wow, you're feeling his emotions and his, you know, environment,
Everything.
right? And you're feeling all of it. You're like, wow, what was he thinking? And if I feel like this, you know, he must have felt like so much as well, right? To put
Yes.
that into the canvases.
You know what it is? I think about music, and I think really I'm thinking about our listeners and our viewers today, and how many people may be going through something and
Mhm.
they're feeling stuck
Yeah.
and not realizing that it's the feeling of stuckness that sometimes is the birth of art.
Yes. Yes.
Because that feeling of stuckness inside, it's almost like the indicator on the car is
Yeah.
communicating to you, there's something in here that needs to be expressed,
Yeah.
whether through music, whether through art, whether through clay, sewing,
Hmm.
speaking, poetry, writing a
Podcasting.
book, podcasting.
Podcasting. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, even if like I'm having a rough week or a rough day, I'll still push myself to have, like, so certain people like you and Schiavo, I have weekly podcasts. So those are set up so that each week I'll have those. So even though I'm going through whatever I'm going through, I'm still going to do them because it's pushing me to get out of my stuckness, you know,
Mhm.
like 'cause otherwise I'll just be stuck in my own little, you know, world. And this still gives me a community to be able to get unstuck.
But you know what, too? It's funny that you say that, because I think of, I'm looking out the window in my house and I'm seeing the changing of the leaves.
Yeah.
And the moment you said stuckness, like if you were to not do the podcast with us,
Yeah.
it would just stay in your stuckness. I immediately thought of the trees and how when seasons change, what if the leaves never fell off the trees like they were supposed to? And they just stayed stuck the way they were.
They'd be brown.
Nature would not be able to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's got to
in the cyclical nature.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it's even us pushing ourselves, like you said, pushing yourself to like, no, this is something I'm committed to. It's actually healing for me. It helps me.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you literally bottle up more inside of you to the point where you're no longer flowing the way you're supposed to flow.
Yeah, not at all. And I love that these are documented, because even if I don't feel good or I've not fully put together, you know, because today I'm in camo, I'm ready to. Exactly. I need to have some 90s music going on, some DMX or.
Yes, to the DMX.
I just need some DMX. That's what I'm feeling today. I should put that on. But yeah, like I love that it's documented. So podcasting is my form of art and expression at this moment. So it's beautiful that I can have these. And every time we have these inspirational weekly conversations, something will click a light. And so I love that you said today when you were writing your book, because obviously you've come into my life and I've come into your life. So I've inspired you with the podcast, and now you're inspiring me to get that book going, because gotta get that book going. But that I love that you expressed how you felt and you wanted to know more when you were in that Basquiat thing. So that clicks a light on me, like, yes, that's what I'm doing with my art and my words. I'm giving you like a path into my thoughts and path into my world.
And in you giving us a path into your thoughts, you are giving us permission to go through the path of our own thoughts.
Yes.
Because that's what happened to me at the art exhibit. The more I thought about him and like, have you gone yet?
No.
Oh my God. It is what his family and his estate has done.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
Breathtaking, one, that he had that much bottled up inside of his young body.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even all of his works.
Yeah. And he died at what age? 25, you said? Or
it was young, was 25, 28, something like that.
It's crazy if you think about that. Someone who's so important in our lives now died so early, just like Tupac and Biggie. Like, they had so much music that resonates with me now, but they died so young.
And, you know, that pathway into his mind to walk through the gallery.
Yeah.
There were so many moments, like when I would read something and I would think to myself, oh my God, we're going through this right now, today, in 2022.
Yeah.
And I would think of my own feelings, right? So what you sharing your art and you sharing the emotions and the thoughts and the feelings, you're giving others permission to explore possibly parts of themselves that either they've avoided, that they have run from, that they've been too afraid to enter into.
Yeah.
It's that's what I think. I think art gives us permission to feel at a level that maybe we're unwilling to, or we're not aware of.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because like, that's why I want to be able to be vulnerable and be an open book about things I've experienced, because I feel like if I've come to a place of more healing to be able to talk about it, maybe somebody who's reading it or someone who watches this podcast will have that insight also to be able to express themselves and give them permission to be themselves, you know, to heal as well and to just be themselves, you know. So,
well, I think the journey, my podcast is all about the journey.
Yeah.
I think the journey is always unfolding.
Yeah.
And as we talk about the healing power of art today, I think that's a process, right? It's funny because one thing that I tell all of my clients to do, one thing, they all have to journal.
I still haven't journaled.
It is, can I just tell you something?
Yeah.
It's proven, people use it. They're
Yeah.
now using it with young people in schools for social emotional learning, and journaling is cathartic.
I don't know why, but I just can't get myself to do it, even though I've always done it. Like when I was young, I would always write it. And I don't know why, but I'm stuck on, I just can't get those words down for some reason, which makes no sense because I always did it before, and I would draw in my journals, I would doodle in them, I would write my emotions. I guess it's correlates to the book.
You know what? Life changes. I heard someone say a few weeks ago, it was a funny, I don't know who I was listening to, but they were laughing because they were talking about being in transition, and how sometimes when we're in transition in life, our natural inclination and our desire is to go back to what we know, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because we're like, I should be able to do that. I should be able to do splits like I was 20. No, actually you shouldn't.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
You can try. I'm not saying there's not somebody out there, but the holding on to wanting to be what you were, as opposed to, okay, I want to do splits, but I want to respect my life and who I am today. And with the journaling for you, it's like, it doesn't have to look the way it looked before.
Yeah.
You could be in a new phase of life. You could be transitioning out of that. And maybe now what you do is you look for prompts.
Yeah.
So you go online, or you open your phone, the Calm app or Better Health or whatever, any of those apps, and you get journaling prompts. You could probably freaking Google journaling prompts right now. And but I say all that to say, it's because sometimes when it's time for us to change, we want the familiar, because the familiar is comfortable.
It is, because your body is naturally just used to it, and it just automatically just wants to go to comfort. Like it wants to know exactly how to do it. It's just going to want to repeat the same, like, play of like the tape recorder. It's just going to do the same thing. So like, it just doesn't want you to exert more brain power. So it's just like, all right, let's just play the record, because that way you don't have to think too much. We're just going to play the record. Yeah.
It's cool because Brene Brown, have you watched her?
Yeah, I love her. I love her stuff. I love all of them. Jay Shetty, Brene Brown, Lewis House, all of them. Well, that's the one I was listening to yesterday, which he was talking to this young woman who's only 24 years old, and she was dropping all kinds of gems. I was like, let me write.
Can I tell you, like, why it is kept in my mind? I feel like I'm like, God, I feel like I'm a female Black version of Jay Shetty. Like every time I say, I'm like, he's thinking what I'm thinking.
Yeah. The whole podcast was beautiful because it seemed like a kind of a conversation that me and you would have, because they were both talking about like how beautiful podcasting is and how beautiful we love sitting here and talking to people and hearing their stories and the connection that we build in the community. So the whole podcast, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. This is what Sunrise is doing too. This is what I'm doing, and how much we love it.
Well, you know what? It's funny because yesterday I finished wrapping the first season, right? So that episode, that 8. So I'm a baby. So I did 8 for the season, and I'm gonna start season 2, but it airs next week. The last guest literally touched on one thing from all the previous 7 podcasts.
Wow, really?
It's almost like she put a bow on the whole
thing, and that's beautiful.
She was saying things that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Guest number 1 said that. Guest number 6 said that.
Yes.
And it's this whole idea. I think the world needs healing, period. Right. I think we've talked so much about wealth and securing your bag. And listen, I'm all for securing the bag.
Yeah.
I'm all for securing the bag.
Yeah.
But I also realized that the last few years have unearthed a lot for people mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically.
Yeah.
And I do believe that we are in a revolution of healing. And I think people's healing is going to be their freedom. I think people healing
Mhm.
themselves mentally,
Yes.
psychologically, spiritually, emotionally
Mhm.
is literally going to be the freedom that they were looking for to secure the bag. Because I think a lot of people want to secure the bag, but
First.
they are ill
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
their emotions, their thoughts, their thinking, and they're trying to figure out, why isn't anything working?
Yeah.
It's because right now your focus really needs to be on like your mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I totally believe that. Like, if your focus is only on securing the bag, once you get that bag, you're just going to be a whole hot mess, and all the problems that you've been hiding are just going to come
Oh, they're
right here.
magnified. They are magnified.
Can be worse.
They can be worse. Because let me tell you something, that monster with the capital E, ego,
Mm-hmm.
will show up like
Yep. No other.
will show up like a gang member looking for their corner money, right? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Run me my stuff right now.
Yep.
Give
Yep.
me my money.
Yes.
Give me
Exactly.
my money.
Exactly.
The ego will show up and snatch
Mm-hmm.
everything
Yeah.
if you are not aware.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole conversation about healing, to me, for me, I think is our way of blessing viewers to be okay with saying, I need to find a different outlet. I need to find a different space because my indicator light is going off.
Blinking. It's blinking, and we need to do something.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so the book, come on, like you talk about it, you're like, oh, I know. Like, I just need you
Yeah.
to commit to like
Uh-huh.
one page.
Okay.
Guys,
All
I'm
right.
gonna do one
Okay.
page.
All right. One page.
One page.
Well, since this is why once it's recorded, now I have to do it.
Yes. Yes.
One
And
page.
it's
All
not
right.
like, so let me ask you something. So, and you don't have to answer in case you want to keep this all like private
No,
for
it's okay.
yourself.
No,
Are you going to be filling the book with art, pre-existing art, or are you going to create new art for the book, or both?
both.
Okay.
I think it's going to be everything.
Okay.
It's going to be everything because it's going to be all of me, and it's going to be all of it. So then it's going to be my freedom in my 40s.
Wouldn't it be cool if you dropped your book
Yeah.
the day you launched your podcast?
The day I launched my podcast?
Yeah. When did you drop the first episode of your podcast?
Oh, I feel like you mean the first one in my bedroom?
Yeah.
I think that was sometime last, I think it was September.
So wouldn't it be crazy if like September 2023?
So it was September. It was not this. So it was last year September that I did it. The first one. That would be funny. And I should do it in bedroom now. Go back to my bedroom. Everybody, here's where I started it.
Here's where it started. We wrap it up.
Yeah, we wrap it up. Here's the book. Yeah. And I feel like I want it to be like a beautiful coffee table book that you would just leave out,
I want it.
Like a
I
beautiful
want it because I believe, well, one of the things I know for sure, I believe your gift is a therapeutic gift.
Yeah.
That your awareness of how art heals.
Yeah.
Is like giving to me. I want to gift your book to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who I know would open it and read it and be able to say, oh my God, I've felt like this before.
Yeah, like giving people permission to do the things they've always wanted to do and express those feelings that they've never expressed, like you said. I love it. I love it. All right, one page, everybody.
But after you just explained it, I'm like, one page, that's mad. Like,
you're like, Linda, you already have the whole book in your.
I was about to say.
I know, I was laughing at myself, the conversation we had. We're like, Linda, yeah, I was gonna say your book is done. It's on your walls, it's in your phone, it's in your computer, like all of it's there. Like all of my quotes, all my Jay Shetty things, my Oprah things, my Lewis Howes. Like I've collected so much little quotes everywhere. Like
I told you, those notable quotables will change your life. That's why I had quotes in my book.
Yeah.
Because those quotes were the quotes that got me through.
Exactly. They are quotes and little memes that I see everywhere. So I collect them, I screenshot them, they're all on my phone. Those are those little quotes that always hit home to me. Like, I love quotes. They just resonate so much. Like a click of it, and it's like, ah, yes, that's exactly how I'm feeling. Right? Yeah.
Listen, I think we've inspired a whole lot of listeners and viewers
Yeah.
to
To do it.
to
Get
do it,
unstuck. Do it.
whatever it is.
Just do anything. Just do something.
Yeah, allow yourself to be free. Write that poem, and you don't have to write it to put it in a book or give it to anybody.
Yeah.
Write it for yourself.
Yeah.
Write that song.
Yeah.
Do that art. I don't know how to paint or any of that stuff.
That's okay. Yeah.
My art is all here. Like,
yeah, that's what I said in the first podcast with you. I was like, your art is your speaking, the way you can like feel people's like energy, like that's your art. And I was like so passionate when I said it to you. It was like flowing. I was like, Sunrise, this is your art. I was like, wow, I sound really good. I was like, wow.
I was like, you did. I was like, that sounds like it should be a hook for the podcast. I'm just saying.
I know. I was like, wow. I was like, this is all like clicking, you know? So I love that. So when you meet the right people and you speak to people and you put yourself out there, because had I not started and pushed myself to do these podcasts, we would never have been reconnected, and I would have never been able to see how much of a beautiful person that you've become.
Listen, and the funny thing is we were beautiful people when we were in high school.
Yeah.
We were early on the journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the beauty that we saw was at the level at which we could comprehend, our 15, 16, 17-year-old minds could comprehend.
Yeah. We always had that hesitation of a look where we're just looking at people like,
yeah, not quite sure. You're like,
I don't know what to think about all of this. Well, I'm just going to keep observing.
Yep.
Until today, we can completely speak our minds.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It is crazy. It's beautiful and it's crazy.
It's beautiful and it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful. But I think what I love about what you do, and also with my podcast and what we do collectively, is we give people permission to like be like, maybe it's not so crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so crazy for me to be okay with my feelings and being honest about how some of this life stuff is so messed up, but I don't have to drown in it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. To give people the hope. You know? And I love that because it brings your world and my world together. And the conversations are so genuine and so free flowing that I feel like it'll give people just, I guess, I don't know, happiness to hear these conversations that are just so authentic.
Yeah, and they're free.
Yeah.
They're free. They're free in this freeing in the sense that it allows people to like be okay with themselves.
Yeah. And whatever part of it is, like whatever part of your life that you're in right now,
in this
it's
moment.
Okay. It's going to bring you to where you're supposed to be later. So like that woman said, I have to find her name. I think it's Alexis or something that she's speaking to Jay Shetty. But she's like, listen, whatever part that you're in, it's just going to help you get to the next part and the next end result, the other part that it's all getting you ready now. All the pain you're going through, all the preparation, it's all getting you ready for that next big part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, my trainer always would tell me like, she's like, in order for you to get strong, you have to weaken the muscle.
Yes.
So when she would say, you know, you have to strain the muscle, right? You know, they say tear your muscles or whatever. Yeah. And she was like, in order for you to get strong, you actually have to break it down so that it can.
Yeah, which is crazy. So it can rebuild and become
what you want it to be.
Yeah.
What you want it to be. And I think what you're saying, right, and what we've been saying for this whole episode about healing is that the process in and of itself can be nasty and messy. However, if you're willing to embrace it, you can see that there's something beautiful on the other side of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make it work for you. I've just gotten to a place in my life. And one thing I don't do anymore, I don't mess with foolishness. I don't mess with foolishness. I don't mess with, as soon as I see it coming, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
But mainly because I've just gotten to this space in my life where I'm like, I want to learn from everything that comes at me. I'm no longer going to be like worried about stuff and people and
Yeah.
all
How
of
did you
that.
get to that place where you don't
Mm.
bring it into your life and don't accept it and don't entertain it? How were you always like that? Or
Well, the funny thing is my friends, it's funny because one of the podcasts that I did with one of my girlfriends who's in the fashion industry, she says I've been like that since college.
oh,
I didn't feel like I was like that in college.
yeah.
But she said it at the end of the episode. She was like, Sunrise, you never liked mess. You never did. But I was thinking to myself, well, why did I always feel like mess was finding me? So
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. But what I can tell you is now, like in this adult body that I'm existing in,
Yeah.
I think I realized that I was still, oh God, I think that this is straight vulnerable right here. I
Mhm.
realized that I was still wanting people to pick me. And so I was being
Mm.
a people pleaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And everyone has their own stuff. Everyone has their own stuff.
Yeah.
But when I came to the realization that I wanted people to pick me, whatever that looked like,
Yeah.
and when they didn't pick me, I got upset or disappointed
Mhm.
because I was like, well, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I'm nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you talking about me? Why is it? I then started to realize, like, girl, that got everything to do with you.
Mhm.
And so I just got to this place now where I don't invite anything in that does not make me feel good.
Mm. Mhm.
Whereas before I wanted to be picked.
Yeah.
So I allowed anyone and anything to just come and
Yeah.
decided that I want only things that come in and make me feel good, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
no longer tolerating accepting other people's BS
Yeah.
when it makes me not feel good about myself.
Yeah. Like, I wonder why people have like high tolerance for BS, or high tolerance of like, oh, they did this to me, but they're a good person, so I'm gonna forgive them and give them a second
It has,
chance.
because Linda, it has nothing to do with the other person. It has
Yeah.
everything to do with us. And
Yeah.
that, to sum up just your whole question, I just accepted the fact that part of it was me.
Yeah.
Not part, it was all me.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, people struggle because there's a benefit.
Hmm.
There is a, in psychology, when when I did this work, there's always this thing about like, what's the payoff,
Yeah.
right? You keep engaging in a behavior that doesn't work, but you keep doing it, right? Like when I
Mhm.
would work with kids in schools and I would try to help teachers understand, yeah, the suspension isn't working for the kid because the suspension is a benefit. So
Mm.
you think you're punishing this kid and you're like,
Yeah.
they keep getting suspended. Yeah, but if it's a kid who doesn't know how to read and doesn't know how to have social skills, they don't want to be in school anyway.
They
So
feel better because they're not gonna feel embarrassed.
you suspending them is
Yeah.
actually reinforcing the behavior because they don't want to be here anyway.
Yeah.
So to your point, why do people keep inviting like some of these things into their lives? It's
Yeah.
because there's a benefit, there's a payoff,
Yeah.
and we're entrapped in these cycles because we haven't acknowledged how are we benefiting from this other person's bad behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the part that is hard for us to sit with because
Yeah.
we're like, and here's the thing, we shouldn't judge ourselves for it.
Yeah.
We absolutely shouldn't judge ourselves for it because it happens. It's like Pavlov's dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you put the bowl out and you ring the bell, the dog doesn't come. Like, oh, bowl, food, bell, bowl, food, bell, bowl, food,
Yeah.
bell.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because like I have a friend too. Like I just can't comprehend how they can accept multiple negative BS
Mm,
and constantly think that, oh, well, I'm giving them a second chance. I'm giving them a third chance. I'm giving them a fourth chance, giving me a fifth chance. But they keep thinking that they're a good person, and that I guess they don't mean what they're saying. They don't mean these bad things they're doing, you know, and they just keep accepting all of these bad behaviors. So I just wonder how you were able to just be like, no, that's it. That's the cutoff. No more
Well,
BS.
you know what it is? I try not to, I separate good people from bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I, this is how this is me. This is how I've accepted it, that we all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We all do things that we're not proud of, and we'll continue to do it as long as we're alive, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't want that bad behavior in my experience anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order for me to protect my space, that person who maybe deep down inside is good or whatever, I can't have that person because of what they engage in my space.
Yeah.
That's how I have, because sometimes when we don't want to dismiss people, and we don't want to think, oh, we're better than somebody else and all of that. Protecting your peace is about protecting the energy that comes into your space.
Yeah.
And a good person can bring negative energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a good person that does good things, volunteer work or whatever, but they have a certain side of them where the energy is toxic.
Yeah.
That could be in the same daggone person.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. That's why I think I just can't comprehend that. Here's a funny analogy that I saw where they were saying, like, you know, a bowl of fruit. And if you have a bowl of fruit, one of the fruits is starting to get rotten. If you leave that rotten fruit in there, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? The other fruit are going to start getting rotten. Got to remove that rotten fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So that just hit me the other day. I'm like, oh yes, that's like perfect little like nature like lesson right there.
You know what, how else I started? This is a good one. You'll get this one because you're a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Another way that helped me to kind of start navigating my life differently was, I say the Holy Spirit. Some people say their gut, some people say intuition. I say Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit asked me the question one time of, would you allow someone to come into your house and just punch your kids in the face?
No.
And I was like, absolutely not.
No,
and God was like, then why are you allowing people to punch you emotionally? I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you put them, so like, it was almost like God was like, yeah, you should love your kids, but you should love yourself too.
You need to love yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was one, I think I saw something on Instagram where it was really a good thing that I think I'm going to start today, where you print out, she's doing a lot of childhood inner work with her therapist. And her therapist told her to print out a picture of you when you were a kid and put it in your bathroom mirror. And every time you say something negative, just imagine saying it to that little girl. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to print out a little picture of me. And then remember that every time I'm doing something, just look at that little girl.
Oh, man, that is good.
Right? I'm going to print that out today.
That is really good.
Right? Yeah.
But in so many, that's pretty much kind of what I did, but just with my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, you wouldn't allow anyone to just come in and do whatever to your kids.
No. Yeah.
So why would you allow someone to do that to you emotionally or mentally?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my husband the other day and he was like, oh, he's like, you need to share this with Linda or do it on your podcast. So here's the opportunity.
Yeah.
He was laughing at me because I was on this rant about no new friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, no new friends. I'm just done with human beings. I'm done with adulting, right?
Yeah.
Because it's too much work, right? It's too much work to like navigate people's foolishness and mess.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, babe, what you're really saying is that you're looking to have relationships that are mature in a way that honor and value both individuals. And it's true. I think many people in the world tolerate foolishness because we crave connection.
Yeah.
We crave friendship. We crave camaraderie and sharing of human experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But then when those things go south, we're like, oh, this is for the birds.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
When in actuality, it's not that we're out of connecting with humans. We just need to be more intentional on the types of connections that we want. And it's okay to only want those type of connections in our personal space.
Yeah, yeah, because those things affect you and affect, your world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it.
I hope people love today. I had fun today. This one was a good one.
I love it. Well,
all of ours were good.
I think all of our conversations.
I was just about to say, they're all good. I think some hit a little different when we're in the moment of it, because I can feel it. I can feel it. This one,
I do too, because when I come off of these, I'm like, oh, that was a good one. And if I feel like it's so good, because I have like a queue of like ones to edit. So if certain ones hit me more, I'm like, that was beautiful. I have to edit this right now and get it out there. That's I think this is one of them.
It is.
It is.
Because like I said before, there's so many people hurting.
Yeah.
They're hurting and they're craving healing, and they don't realize that their healing is actually going to start with an art form.
Yeah. And whatever that art form is, whatever that passion,
art form is.
Whatever art form, because art, I've always said, is in everything. Anything that you're doing is your art. It's the art of living, it's the art of speaking, it's the art of music,
cooking.
Yeah, cooking, just even nature, just going out for a walk. That's beautiful art. Meditation. So to me, art is in everything. And whatever it is that you need to heal yourself, for our viewers, just take one step, do one thing. Yeah.
That's our word for you all today. One step.
One step, one healing.
One step, one heal. Oh,
I love it. See, See, our conversations are so beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me again on our weekly inspiring conversations. See you next week. Peace.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.
Rain is too low.
Oh, you look so cute today. I love your like autumn fall outfit.
I was running from it, but it's here, so I can't.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is. You gotta accept it and go with it, right?
I don't know about going with it, but I guess part of it is like, I guess I'll accept it and eventually go with it.
It's a little crooked because you see the background's a little crooked. That looks straighter. Yeah, now it looks straighter. Yeah, that looks straighter. Yeah, that looks straighter. I love your sweat. Is it a sweatshirt?
It is.
Oh my God, that's so cool. That looks like a Lindalcheung can do that also.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a little in here.
Ah, that's hot.
Yeah, I wasn't rocking like that today. I had a meeting before, so I was trying to.
Yeah. What brand is that?
This is Zara.
Zara? I love it. But it's like a sweatshirt material, right?
It is a sweatshirt.
I like that. I like that. Because I just did a sweatshirt for Nikki from high school. And I did some paint splatters on it, but I like the concept of this where it's like ripped up and like it looks like paint splatters and all of that.
Yeah.